It is. I got a little catching up.
Order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right,
Yeah, I
roll
think-
call, Mr. Ayer.
Here.
I think he's coming.
He's coming. Well, he's right here. He's right here. Oh, we were just getting to the beach.
Wow.
Say here.
Say here. Here.
Now recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Solo, huh?
Welcome back to Susan. Dr. Lewis,
Here.
Mrs. Rankin,
Here.
Mr. York.
Here.
All right, I got an email today. Susan is a little under the weather, so we're going to excuse her. Let's have a motion in a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Mr. Ayer,
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight, or Mrs. Brown Knight, Mrs. Rankin.
Not here. Here.
Well, it's a long call. Mr. York.
Here. Aye. I'd be aye.
Affirmative.
All right.
Oh, this is gonna be a long night, Randy, at this pace.
All right, any questions regarding the minutes from the October 23rd meeting? Everybody have a chance to look them over? Any questions?
Nope, not here.
Nope. All right, hearing none, a motion and a second to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ayer.
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right. All right, in communications, we have Chief Hines' report. Everybody had a chance to look that one over. Any questions regarding the report, Chief? Do you have any comments?
I do not, sir.
You do not. All right, looks like a fairly comprehensive report. Is crime down within the village?
Actually, knock on wood, we're in pretty good shape so
Yes.
far this year.
Yes. Percentages on some of that stuff headed in the right direction. All right. We have service report from Mr. Scherpenberg. John, do you have any comments to make? Everybody got any questions regarding the report?
Uh-oh.
Can't say anything.
He wants to do it while we
I'm
can.
allowed to talk now.
3 minutes.
Nothing about the report, just to let you know, I know last Monday, you guys, or last council meeting, you guys were discussing the ordinance for the Hafner contract. That's something that we've had since 1983. Nothing's changed since then, other than pricing, to where we're not paying anymore because we buy all our supplies, or
But we don't have anything in writing? It's just...
just this contract there. That's just the ordinance is the only thing they
The
have.
ordinance is the
Right,
contract, huh?
yes. So it's been tweaked over the years. As long as we buy our supplies from them, which we were doing anyway, we get the leaves and the brush dumped for free. And then it saves us anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 a year, depending on what we have to buy and stuff. So it's been a great contract since we've had it. If we didn't have the contract, it's about $55 to $65 a truckload. When I first took over the service department, at that time it was $25 a truckload, and they were spending $250 a day on dumping cost. And that's when we got it all tweaked and stuff like that since then. The contract did break back in back in 2020, 2001, I think. We had an issue when RAP sold the property to Little Miami Inc. Hafner wasn't allowed to use that property to come across to the fields. So they used to mow or grind the gardens and plow everything down there. One year we had an issue where it had rained after they tilled everything up and was not able to get back to retill it for the farm, for the garden area. And so that's when the previous administration said, well, forget it, we don't want them doing it anymore. The gardeners will till their own stuff. And that's where that's changed a little bit. But they used to do all the area where they're doing now, plus the little one and the other little one, which is the pumpkin farm. They gave that section up. because it was just too much to get over with their equipment and stuff over the creek.
Are we gonna get him to till in all those piles of leaves down there?
Yes, that we've got an arrangement for them to remove all that. The goal last year.
Remove, or they're gonna just till it in?
They can till it in if they want to. I think he's gonna probably remove it and take it down and grind it and go with it, since it's been that way. Some of the gardeners have already taken some of it and still taking some of that, and we told them we'd help them out if we can get in there.
Yeah.
The problem is where we dumped it, it got really, really wet from the rain and it hasn't dried up. So that was the issue. The goal last year was to dump it there to keep our guys from driving down to
Yeah.
Hafner and try to cut our time back, because it's about, by the time they get filled up to the time they dump, you're probably looking about 45 minutes, depending on how busy the dump is.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, if we could dump down there, it would make it easier. The issues we ran into is Dynabulk now has that line up at top where our crossing is that we put in, and they store some of their railroad cars on that line, and it blocks us from getting down there.
Yeah.
So we've had issues with that, so.
So he'll bring his own trucks and load her down there to do
Yeah,
it? I mean,
or
we're
he'll
not
take-
gonna be
yeah.
responsible for loading or
Nope,
moving
nope, no, it
it?
won't cost us a thing, so we're good there.
Okay,
But,
all right, well, that
And
sounds,
we have, it's an on-demand out, right, by either party?
correct. So like I said, when the property is exchanged and they weren't allowed to come over, there was no way for them to get the farm equipment down there. So it was like a year and a half that I worked with the railroad to try to get that other crossing built.
Right.
And then we built the ramp to that crossing. So it took us, dealing with the railroad, I dealt with people in Atlanta, I dealt with people in Columbus, and I told them, the one line they're not even using. Well, it happened the day that I met with them, a train just happened to go down that line. So it was perfect timing on their part, I think. So after I met with their engineers, that's what we told them, look, we'll put the ramp up if you just do the crossing, and that's where it's there. But either party has the out to get out without any penalties.
And that's,
I think.
the South Day Committee brought this up.
Yeah.
And kind of that was, what is the nature of the agreement? And, in case something comes up, do we have an out? It looks like we have an on-demand out, so.
Yeah,
yeah.
so we're good there.
I'd say it's a good arrangement, though. I mean, in
Sure.
general, we want this, yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Thank you, John.
All right, Mr. Barlow, any comments regarding the tax department monthly report? Any questions, anybody? No? No? All right, assuming you all have read or looked at, we have the communication from the Tree Advisory Board. She wanted me to go ahead and put this in so that we would have it on public record. They're making some proposals and recommendations regarding the trees in Dogwood Park and what to do and so on and so forth. I know Randy has met with them and talked with them, and you fully understand this and seen it, of course, Randy.
No big surprises, and I
Yeah.
think reasonable requests from them.
Right.
We've communicated to Kleinger's, and they're updating the plan. The big one was that big tree on the corner, that heritage tree.
The one that was proposed to be moved because of the handicap parking?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And again, these would just be street trees, not trees within the park. Yeah. Although I think they did make a couple comments about the trees within the park as well, but nevertheless. All right, that covers all of our reports for the month. Permission to address council. Do we have anyone that wishes to address council? I'm not seeing anyone, that's odd. Oh, hey, Karen, I'm sorry.
Golly, gee willikers.
Mayor Bill, Karen Ketzel, 3865 Beach Street. I know I'm on a time frame, so I'll be as succinct as possible.
Sure.
Number one, sorry, John, but I don't understand why I didn't get my leaves picked up until the 4th week of you picking up leaves. Every week, twice, 3 times a week, I'm out there blowing and raking, because all the leaves are blowing everywhere. And I don't have that kind of time in my life, and I don't have the money to pay somebody to keep doing that. All my neighbors blow all their leaves to the corner, and it all blows into my front yard, and then I'm pushing it all down the lane. In the past, even Columbia Township picks up leaves once a week. We've always had weekly pickup, and I just cannot comprehend I mean, it has been a struggle for me. So I don't know what happened this time, but
Well, in part, what happened this time is that the leaves came down a little later this year than they have, because of the warmer weather and then the colder weather that we had, and they really did begin to drop, almost suddenly. So we had an unusual accumulation of leaves that normally, we would have been on top of had they started to come down earlier. You do know that we only have 3 trucks that do the leaves, and occasionally one of the leaf vacuums, is out for maintenance or other reasons. And it's just a lot of leaves. I mean, we can only do, so much at one time. I believe, though, your leaves were picked up today, correct?
today.
Today.
The 4th week.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's the lane, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, the front was picked up last street. But I don't understand, last week, it was, the end of Hawthorne was picked up. It's a hop, skip, and a jump over to Lane A. I mean, it has been just a mess. So, on the record, not at all happy.
Okay.
May I just ask quickly, in the past, like in past years, does it usually happen once a week? Or?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just,
Typically, it was on Fridays.
okay, so this year is sort of a one-off.
Well, actually, last year, it was late, too.
Okay,
So this has been a couple years.
Okay.
That it's been late.
okay.
So, All right, the second thing, which happened yesterday, and you know about it,
You
but
sent me the text.
I don't know who's on the safety committee, but I'm really angry, really, really angry. The first thing started with Keith Wolter being able to change a street light. I don't understand how a citizen can get Duke Energy to change a street light. Thank you, Bill. Yes, you were with Duke, but the street light is still peach. That is not a secured light. It's like having a nice candlelight dinner back in the lane.
Well, just let me make a quick comment about that, because when you did originally contact me with that, I did get on the phone with our contact at Duke and spoke with him, about why the change in color, and of course, I think there was a change in wattage or something,
Yes,
yeah.
everything was changed.
It's brighter now, I think, than it was. Is that correct, or is it not as bright? Yeah.
No. I mean,
Well-
you look at that one and you look at the one that's just opposite at the end of Hawthorne, and I mean, it's night and day. You have a white light and you have a peach light.
Peach light. The difference there originally basically is that they simply just couldn't change out the bulb anymore in that existing fixture. This is the explanation that I got. So the entire head, on the post itself or on the arm coming over had to be changed, and that was the type of bulb that accommodated that. And in order to go back to a more white type light would, different head kind of a thing, and there was going to be, believe it or not, I don't understand this, there was going to be some kind of an additional monthly charge to do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Keith Wolter should be responsible for that since he changed it. This can all stem back to, and Ed, you probably know, 20 years ago, when we had the big issue between the village and me and the village blacktopping my property. And that whole corner is supposed to be lit up. That's when the pole got put in at the end of Hawthorne because people were congregating back there. And I'm sorry that Keith Wolter thinks that it's more important to be friendly for the bats in that area than the safety of my property, which then leads into I complain and complain and complain about trucks going down the lane. Every time a truck comes down lane A, I call the village police department, and the policemen laugh at me. And they say, "There's nothing we can do, Karen. We're not going to go chase down a truck and give them a ticket." Why not? After what happened yesterday at 5 o'clock, you all go down lane A and see what this guy did. The guy was an attorney. Imagine that, driving a ginormous U-Haul truck with a trailer. He has now taken out the guardrail, taken out the balusters that were put in by the village, because that lane is too small for any truck. And this guy, it wasn't dark, it was 5 o'clock, but he was too stupid to read the signs that do not work. There's got to be some other way, whether it's putting a canopy over the entrances for lane A, but I'm tired of it. I have cut my magnolia tree back to the point that trucks can't hit it, but now my whole corner there is now demolished. How many years is it going to take to restore that hedge? I don't know. And it's still sitting there from yesterday. They pulled out, I mean, the concrete that was holding in the baluster and the concrete that was holding in the guardrail, all of that is still laying in Lane A.
I'm assuming that all the information of this particular driver was taken, and I would imagine he has insurance, correct? I mean, there will be an insurance claim here.
Yes.
To restore that.
Yes.
Yes.
So
He
we
was-
know who the driver is.
Yes.
And the
Well,
police were,
an officer showed up, correct? I mean, the officer
Yes.
showed up and took the information.
Yeah,
correct?
but, you know, with him dragging all that concrete and all that metal, he also punctured the U-Haul tire. So he couldn't move the truck for another, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. He was there waiting for U-Haul to come jack up. I mean, the truck was as big as this room. Why anybody would think, he goes, oh, I'm from Westchester. I didn't have any idea that lanes were like this in Mariemont.
Is it that he couldn't make the 90-degree turn right there at your corner? Of
course he couldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the issue, correct?
Yeah, so he
tried to
came
make-
right across it.
Yeah, I understand, okay.
But that was the trailer part. But it's still the fact that I call, and the officer that showed up last night, he goes, well, I've been here 8 years. I've never seen anything like this. It's like, yeah, I call. Every single time I see a ginormous truck, even the Kroger's delivery truck is going down that lane. And I've called Kroger's, and I said, stop them from coming down our lane. And the policeman, sorry, they just basically laugh at me and say, we can't do anything, Karen. So what's the point of those signs? They're not being read by the drivers. It's not being followed up by any police people. And I'm the one that gets the damage.
What did the sign say?
No trucks.
Just no.
No delivery trucks, no trucks. If you have to deliver, you deliver either on Beach Street or Homewood. There's no coming down that lane. And I'm tired of it.
Well, let me back up for just a second. We will, or I personally will follow up with the insurance claim to make sure that that is handled properly and that the insurance is paid and we can, restore that corner to, what, I'll personally go over and take a look at it. The
Thank
chief
you.
is gonna have to talk to the officers regarding, the lane truck traffic and stuff through there, to monitor or do something, in regards to how we're going to address that.
Something needs to happen. I mean, I'm almost 40 years here. And to go through this again after all of this time, when I had to go through this 20 years ago or whatever, whenever it was, Kim Sullivan, I don't remember what year it was, she was on council and she was one of the persons that came over to the lane, and she's the one who made the suggestion of the balusters and the yellow coverings and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, be put there.
So now those are destroyed. It's like nobody listens to me. And I just feel like, after 40 years, I would think somebody would be listening. When I say it's a problem, but when I call, sorry, Karen, we can't do anything about the trucks going down there. I don't understand that.
Can I respond?
Of course.
Okay. When you call, Karen, if it's a Kroger truck, obviously, they can, but if it's a truck and you don't have a name or a license plate, they're right by the time they get there. How are they gonna find it if it's gone?
I usually have a name. I don't necessarily have a license plate.
Okay.
But,
Does
the
all
Kroger's
trucks that come
truck,
by have names on them, company names? Is that what
they're
you're saying?
usually moving trucks. They're usually the tenants
I
that are
understand-
moving.
I understand your frustration. Is there a situation that we can come up with that you will never see a truck back there again? That's not possible.
I know that. But, I would hope there would be a way to make it difficult for a truck to get back there. Because if they're not running into my property, they've run into the chain link fence on the other side, which is mine. It's not coming down because if they don't run into that fence, they're going to run into the Clark's vehicle, or they run into the wooden fence because that bend will not accommodate, shucks,
Yeah,
Don
no,
Parker that works for me, he can hardly get his mammoth truck around that bend.
Sure.
So I'm tired. Yeah. I would think after 40 years in this village, things would be going smoothly, and they're not.
I can assure you, I personally will come over, I will take a look, I will follow up with the insurance claim. Chief and I will talk more about the situation down there as to, you know, if there's any type of, you know, remedy to keep trucks out of there. I mean, right off the top of my head, sitting here, you know, without visually going and seeing it again, I don't want to sit here and make some kind of a comment that wouldn't, you know, that we can't do.
The only thing I thought of, which may not look so good, but, you know, like poles, wooden poles with a board across that say, you know, 8 feet or 9 feet or whatever
Right.
trucks are. So these large trucks, this was
restriction.
the largest truck I have ever seen on the lane. You know, it's one thing if there's tall, like Kroger's, but I could call Kroger's and say, hey, you know, we've got people that are being delivered their groceries on Beach Street, and then all of a sudden they're cutting down Lane A. They have no purpose on Lane A.
Okay.
But please, we got to do something now.
I hear you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Sorry about that.
Anyone else? Please,
Hey, library.
please.
All right, so just some of our upcoming programs in case anyone is interested. Again, I'm Mandy Beecroft. I'm the manager at the Mariemont Branch Library. So all through the month of November, we have Dino-Vember going on for the kids. So there are dinosaur puzzles, dinosaur scavenger hunts, a dinosaur excavation ball pit, and dinosaur-themed story times. And then December 5th at 11 a.m., we also have a winter holiday spectacular. So that's going to teach kids to sing holiday sing-alongs from around the world. That's courtesy of the May Festival Minis. And then for adults, upcoming this Saturday, we still have some openings for our card making program. So we're going to have all the craft supplies and everything there, and that's from 10:30 to noon. And then starting in December, December 2nd will be the first one. We'll be hosting a Saturday morning coffee club with free local coffees from around the Cincinnati area, and people will be able to come and sample the coffees, and we'll have some activities to help them unwind after a busy year. But that's all the stuff we have going on at the library, and
All
I
right,
hope
sounds
I will
good.
see you guys there.
Thank you.
Thanks for
you.
telling us.
Thanks.
All right. Anyone else? No? No? All right. All right, everybody had a chance to review the bills.
Just
Any-
quick, hey,
any-
Chris, quick question. So the Hiawatha here, this is where, you mentioned before, this is our share and that the OPWC, they get billed directly for the other
Yes.
portion of it?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So yeah, the final invoice came in and we'll split it 45-55 with OPWC.
Yeah, so this is our 55%?
Percent, yeah.
Okay. And then Kelly, have we gotten the MRF, the grant?
Yeah, the 40,000.
It's around 40, yeah, something
It
like
is
that.
40, yeah, $40,000.
We got it? Excellent, excellent. That's a great deal for, you've done a great job with that, Chris. I appreciate that.
Any other questions? No. All right, motion and a second to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ayer?
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, let's pay the bills. All right. Looks like what, we have one committee report? Mm-hmm. Kelly,
Yes.
you want to read it, or? do you want-
I will read it.
All right.
But I want to make a comment before I do.
Sure.
We have, sorry, an amendment, stop it. An amendment to the report of something that I inadvertently left off. And then there's also been a change to the streets that we want to submit for the SORTA grant that came as a result of our 5-year capital meeting last week. So I'm going to go ahead and read the report. I'll state the amendment that needs to be added for the resolution that Chris has in here. And then I'm going to let Chris kind of elaborate on the thought process side, changing the streets to be submitted. Okey dokey?
Sure.
Okay. Public Works and Service Committee met on November 1st at 3:30 PM to continue discussion regarding the service department structure with the retirement of John Scherpenberg and Kevin Schmidt at the end of the year. In attendance were Committee Chairperson Kelly Rankin, Committee Member Rob Bartlett, Committee Member Randy York, Village Administrator Chuck Barlow, Maintenance Supervisor John Scherpenberg, Maintenance Employee Ben James, Councilperson Marley Luce, and Mayor Brown. The committee also met at 4 o'clock to discuss recommendation for the streets to be submitted for the SORTA grant in 2025. Village engineer Chris Ertl joined the meeting at that time. Discussion was had to determine the second role classification, as recommendation for one of the roles had been made at meeting October 3rd. The committee recognizes the need for someone to be the point person and/or on-site contact for certain projects and the leader for the department. The committee recommends posting position for the maintenance supervisor immediately. Due to the limited time frame, the committee agreed to allow the job to be posted prior to the November 13th meeting. The second topic regarded the streets to be selected for the SORTA grant application for 2025 funding. After discussion and recommendation by Engineer Ertl, the committee recommends the following streets to be selected for grant submission. Mariemont Connector, the intersection of Plainville and Murray. Pleasant Street from Mariemont to Mariemont, so the loop there. Center Street from Miami Bluff to Mount Vernon. And then the Miami Bluff midway to Harvard Street, we have changed direction on that. So we're going to bump out the Miami Bluff work to 2028 and submit application to do the entire Miami Bluff, which is obviously a really big deal. And therefore move the Rembold project to 2025. And if Chris wants to elaborate on the thought process behind that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, the part of Miami Bluff that was going to be applied for in 2025 was just midway to Harvard Street, about a third of the entire roadway. In looking at our schedule and the way we have funding lined up for the Mariemont Connector to be built from Miami to the library, that will be completed at the end of next year, so we could apply for Rembold in the year after that with the construction finished on Mariemont Connector to start the Rembold work. So we thought that made more sense to apply for Rembold funding instead of Miami Bluff. We can apply for Miami Bluff in 26 or 27 and the entire length of Miami Bluff at that time. So that was why the change was made.
Center Street is staying on. Okay.
So are you clear on all these amendments?
I think.
I've
Okay,
made
so-
notes and I will send, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to amend the fact that I left off the
Well, I think first we
recommendation.
need to move and second to accept the report.
Okay.
Then we need to move and second to amend the report.
Okay,
We're not going to amend it first and then accept it? No, we're going to accept it
doubling
first.
down.
We usually accept it and then amend it.
All right, well, you've heard the report. I need a motion and a second to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ayer?
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, now we're going to amend the report.
So moved.
Oh, well, are we all clear on?
Well, no, do we need to vote? John, did you say we needed to vote to amend it, or?
Yeah, I
Yes.
need a vote, yes.
Second.
Okay, so now we're going to work on amending.
All right, Mr. Ayer?
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right.
Is that the signed copy?
I have not got the signed copy because I wanted to make sure once it was amended that we were going to sign the right thing.
Okay.
Randy, put my damn pen down.
And then, are we leaving both of these on the agenda?
No.
They can both come off?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
Joni, I can ask you afterwards about which one you want me to have signed. So I made the amendment notes on one of them.
That's
Is that
fine.
the one you prefer to have signed?
Mhm.
Okay.
Did you mention what the other amendment, though, with the application? The grant application?
Yes,
Not the SORTA one, the other one.
for the stormwater.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yes, that was what I mentioned prior to Chris giving his dissertation
In the future.
about the,
In the future, please try to have these reports accurate.
you know, time's limited, Bill.
Do you wish to weigh in?
Well, I was going to suggest, so this is for the amendment is for the applications for the SORTA grant. I think also what we wanted to do out of that Public Works Committee is what we're going to go to bid on in 2024, which is Grove and Pocahontas.
Right.
And so I don't
we
know.
talked about doing that at another meeting.
We
So
could do
you
that.
could do legislation.
Because that does require legislation to go out for bid.
Right.
So we can do that at a later time.
Yes.
That's fine, okay. I just, probably a second amendment would not be worthwhile right now. So,
Right, so my amendment's just a change in the streets for 2025, and then also adding on the recommendation for the Hamilton County stormwater. Because I did not put that on our
Apply for the
report.
grant.
yeah,
That
apply for the grant
matches
for a
the
stormwater
grant
project. Yeah.
Legislation.
So, I'm sorry, for 2024, we still need to do Grove and Pocahontas.
We'll need to pass legislation to go out to
When
bid
does
for
that need to happen?
Grove. That would just need to happen before I go to bid. That'd be sometime in January.
Okay.
So, we
So
have,
we could do this in January. We don't need to do it before the end of the year?
You know what, let's wrap it up. Let's go ahead, and I'll have another Public Works meeting, we'll deal with that, and we'll make sure we cover everything before the end of the year. Does that
Awesome.
sound good?
Awesome.
that's good. I think
Just a
Marcy.
quick question on Center Street, because I get a lot of questions given where I live. So you're going to, between Miami Bluff and Mount Vernon, that'll be happening in 2025, a resurface of that?
Well, this would be an application.
An application to.
To
yeah.
fund that, yes,
fund that,
exactly.
okay.
If it doesn't, if the application isn't successful, we can still do the work, but we'll revamp that or come to it when it happens.
In the meantime, I remember you drove down it and there were a number of potholes that kind of sprung up. Will those be repaired in the interim on a temporary basis, or?
Yeah, I know we talked about it a couple months ago. I thought they were patched.
Okay.
I'm sure they might need it again, and I'm sure
Okay.
we'll have
After
to
this
monitor
winter?
that after
Okay.
this winter, right.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll continue to monitor that and patch them as needed.
Okay, thank you. I get that question a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so I assume we're all clear on we amended, on what it's gonna be and all this kind of stuff, right? So, I know I certainly am.
Well, then my plan worked.
All right, I believe that was the only report. All right, and miscellaneous, well, leaf season, yeah. Leaf season will end the week of December the 18th, give or take there, depending on the severity of the leaves and so on and so
The
forth.
next one you can, I forgot to take that
Yeah,
off.
forgot to take that one out, all right. Village offices will be closed Thursday, November the 23rd, and Friday, November the 24th, in observation of Thanksgiving. Materials for the November 27th council meeting must be received by the office before noon on Wednesday, November the 22nd, and there will be no exceptions.
I got mine in no more than 24 hours now.
All right. The council meeting in December, we only have one council meeting in December, and that will be held on Monday, December the 18th. And that meeting will be held immediately following the permanent improvement meeting that will start at 5:30. And given the length of the permanent improvement meeting, if it only takes 30 minutes, then the council meeting will start at 6 o'clock. Does everybody understand?
Yeah, because last year it
We're
didn't
not-
take long at all.
We're not going to, yeah, we're not going to put a
Not
gap,
gonna-
right. Again, then village offices will be closed Monday, December the 25th, obviously, and for Christmas. And village offices will be closed Monday, January the 1st for the New Year's Day. All right. Moving on now to resolutions.
Okay, this is the
First
third.
one.
This is the third reading to appoint Eileen Beatty as a member of the Architectural Review Board for the calendar year 2024.
All right, I need a motion and a second to adopt. Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, this is the third reading to confirm the reappointment of Chuck Barlow as part-time village administrator for the calendar year 2024.
Okay, motion and a second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Rob?
Mr. Ayer?
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
I'm sorry for everyone, but I'm not comfortable voting for this. It was a year ago tonight that we established this, and we don't have a job description, and we don't have measurables.
So that's a no.
So, no.
So that's a no.
Okay, thank you.
So Bill, we did agree that you and Matt are working on
Yeah.
the job description and the key
Yes.
measures, and we'll have that ideally by the one council meeting in December, right?
Well, we're going to,
That's the goal.
yeah. I mean, we were given till the end of the year, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have had some discussion about it already. I mean, a few other things have come up here to slow us down here momentarily. But yes, it is our plan to have it. Yes. Randy, we will definitely he will have a job description before the start of the year.
Okay, we voted.
All right, moving on.
Okay. This is the second reading to confirm the appointment of Kelly I. Rankin as village fiscal officer and to establish pay rate.
All right, this is the second reading. This is the discussion reading. Anybody wish to discuss? Commentary?
Do
Yeah.
you have a job description for this role?
We are working on it.
Yes. and-
Yes.
So that's a
Yes.
good point. So I totally agree. Kelly and I have talked, and, there's agreement we should have, same thing with the, village administrators, and measures too. And so Kelly and I talked, because we have Richard's MOE, his memorandum of understanding, which is a great starting place to have, here's what he laid out, here's the job stuff that he needs to do.
Right, and we've even moved beyond that, and basically where she has begun to sort of, sort through that list. I had a couple of older lists at home that we've looked at. So yes, that is underway.
Yeah, so I'm assuming we should be able to have that by the end of the year too, since we had such a
Oh,
good
yeah,
head start.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No problem.
yeah, and I've got some thoughts about key measures as well, for
Did
things
you
that we
hear
might
that?
have for that.
Heard something, I'm not sure what it was.
Was that?
So I have a question, because when we adopted Chuck as a part-time administrator, he took on some of Richard's initial duties. Is that a revised list you're going off of, or his initial list?
His initial list.
Okay, so will those duties then come from Chuck?
In my opinion, they should.
Okay.
Right, because I think we should give Chuck some big stuff to shoot for. I don't think we should be doing the little things, and I especially think that, if he helped pick up some things last year or this year because of that, they need to go back to the original owner,
Okay, I just wanted to make
So-
sure we're clear on that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Chuck and I have worked together a lot, and we're
Right.
figuring all that out.
Okay, good.
Yep. So the MOE, I think, is MOU. MOU is a great place to start for that stuff. The other thing too, I think Kelly would be good because what they have that in place. She's on the finance committee. She's also been on the finance subcommittee, and so she's been really involved with this. And that's one of the reasons I sent out the follow-up report from the finance subcommittee is because, one of the recommendations we.
Rob, please, that has no relevance in this discussion. I'm sorry, it's, not on the agenda. We're not going to discuss that here.
Well, but I do think it is relevant,
I know what
Bill.
you think, please. That's for a future meeting.
Next meeting?
Next meeting, we'll talk. We'll talk. Okay.
I have a question for the potential candidate for the village fiscal officer. Mrs. Rankin,
Mr. Air,
what specific training are you undertaking to meet the qualifications in the Ohio Revised Code to be a village fiscal officer? This is a very loaded question. I've already asked
It
her
is,
before.
and
but
we have
but
already
I wa-
had this
yeah,
conversation,
But I
and
wanted to make it public.
yes, and I appreciate that. Yes, there is a significant amount of training, and as I had told Matt a couple weeks ago, I'd signed up for all the training, and I had sent in a question to the auditor of the state regarding one of the trainings, and I said, this is where I am and what I anticipate I will become. And she said, you can take the training, but until you're officially the fiscal officer, it's not going to count. So there's no point in taking it until after you become the fiscal officer.
Really? They want
Yeah.
you to do it, kind of?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So
Sort of
so
plunge in.
I'm ready to go.
Plunge in, not really knowing.
Good thing it doesn't apply to brain surgery.
Really?
No.
What?
But,
it does kind of apply to
the thing is there's what's called the official village fiscal officer handbook,
Yeah.
which is a lovely 336-page document that is incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
So I've been reading that. I'm almost there.
So when will you
It's a
take the
real
training?
cliffhanger.
When will you be able to get the training?
Well, you can do the fiscal integrity, part of the Fiscal Integrity Act training virtually, so I can do that right away, but then there's a part of it that's actually in session, and they haven't set the schedule for 2024 yet, but I'm on the list for them to let me know as soon as possible.
It'll likely be first quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think more than likely end of February, beginning of March. That will be a trip
Yeah.
to Columbus.
Any other questions? We'll have the third reading in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Louise Schomburg, I believe, is next.
This is the first reading to reappoint Louise Schomburg as a member of the Parks Advisory Board for the calendar years of 2024 and 2025.
Second reading next 2 weeks.
Okay, this is the first reading to appoint Alicia Stock as a member of the Pool Commission for the calendar years 2024 and 2025.
All right, second reading next, council.
Okay. This is the first reading to enter into contract with H. Hafner and Sons Incorporated for brush, gravel, dirt, construction fill, and leaf dumping in consideration for money in the right to farm part of the south 80 acres. And this is a first reading because the last one was an ordinance, and an ordinance cannot, or a resolution cannot repeal an ordinance. So this is the first reading of this resolution. Okay?
Makes
Of that,
makes
yes.
sense.
Okay, this is the first reading, resolution authorizing application and contracting with Hamilton County for the Hamilton County Stormwater Infrastructure Grant and to declare emergency.
All right, we've had the first reading. I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules and allow for the second and third reading, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ayer.
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
May we have the second reading?
Resolution authorizing application and contracting with Hamilton County for the Hamilton County Stormwater Infrastructure Grant and to declare emergency.
Okay, second reading, any questions? We all understand what we're doing here? What this is about? All right, may we have the third reading then, please?
Resolution authorizing application and contracting with Hamilton County for the Hamilton County Stormwater Infrastructure Grant and to declare emergency.
All right, motion and a second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ayer.
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, I need a motion and a second to evoke the emergency clause.
So moved.
Second.
Second, get a good second. Mr. Ayer.
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, be adopted. Well, that takes us to the task list. Anybody want to come forward?
Do we have, since we have the EV charging stations, isn't the LED granting, are we looking for grants for LED lighting also? LED lighting?
you had
You mean
sent-
throughout the village?
Well, I thought at least in a historic village, a historic district.
Yeah, we are.
Those three organizations, they do all three. they do fleets.
Right, but it seems like we should have, I mean, EV's one of the things, and I think, I'm just saying, we should have a separate entry for the LED lighting, right? Because it's a separate grant you're applying for versus the EV stations. Those are two different things that you're applying for.
Grant-wise, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have the EV stations, LED lights, and what's the third? I'm sorry.
I don't know what the third one is. Randy, you said 3?
Well, EV stations can also they also do fleets. There's a test where they'll take municipalities and convert their fleet to EVs.
Oh.
But that's
That's not going to be us.
similar to,
And just a quick
Leave that
update.
Why don't we pose
can get
that
your
question
Prius.
to the group?
Okay, I'm just going to leave that one off then.
Where we are on the EV charging stations is that, we met with Donovan or Dominion or whatever the name of it, had the big walk around and so on and so forth. And we sort of ran into a bit of an issue there in that most of the sites that they looked at were private property. And then, of course, we can't, we can't pay to have EV charging stations put on private property. So I am now doing a bit of a fallback in that Chris and I have been talking. I'm trying to get Duke Energy to come out here and tell me if there's enough juice in the street near the parking area at the square, because that being municipal property, where we can put maybe 1 or 2 charging stations there. When I determine that there is in fact enough electricity in the street to power the thing, then I will move forward with, the grant thing and so on and so forth.
Okay. And Randy, because for the LED lighting in the historic district, has that been? just-
I gave all that information to
Yeah.
Kelly and
So
the
we,
The ARB met over there, there was a big thing, there was a sort of a decision made as to which selection was the most appropriate. I
agree,
guess
yeah,
That's going back to your committee.
yeah. So that's a reason I want to have another Public Works Committee
Okay.
before.
Yeah.
So we need to, because it's not in Public Works currently as a agenda item then, right? I don't see it.
No?
And
Should be.
Kelly, what's 2023 Transit Infrastructure Fund application? Is that,
That's sorta.
so we already,
Yeah, so that can
so
come
should we,
off.
well,
That could
or
say
should we just change it?
2024.
Should we change it to 2024?
Sure, let's.
And you
Yeah,
can get
'cause
rid
then
of the
we'll-
last one, because that's the same thing.
Yeah, okay. So, but we
Right.
need to add the LED lights back to Public Works then, huh? Okay. Bill, if we could also add to the Finance Committee, starting the work on the 2024 salary increase. I've reached out to Rick, and so we're just starting the process. We're just starting the process, so if we can add that into the Finance Committee
Okay, so we're gonna add in the salary increase.
for 2024.
For 2024.
Yeah,
Okay, into finance.
correct.
Yeah, okay. Consider that done. All right, anybody else have any other comments about the list?
When you look at Health and Rec, we've got Dale Park there twice. It's essentially the same thing, so we can,
Which one you want, Dawn?
Dale Park
I
Plan.
would just get rid of
The
the
20
Dale Park plan and then keep the review Dale Park rehabilitation
Yeah.
plan.
Okay.
You just like the date better.
It looks more forgiving.
Okay.
On the Safety Committee in the task list, there's an item that says establish process to address traffic and speed concerns, which has been on there since 2020.
Since time began.
And other than, I've chatted with Chief a little bit about things, is if there's nothing active going on in that regard, perhaps we could take that item off.
I'm sorry, which one was it? I couldn't hear.
The
First one under safety, established.
the process to address traffic and speed concerns.
Well, either that or
narrow
I
it
should be
down.
informed as to what the Safety Committee is supposed to be working on. I just haven't done
Yeah.
anything with it.
I think
That's
we've
a-
done everything we can do on, as
Well,
far
that's
as-
a very generic description as well.
But I'm not really
So-
sure also, how's that gonna tie into the intersection study that we're about to undertake on Miami?
Well, it does tie into that. There is, but it doesn't, this is an established process to address traffic and speed concerns, which, to me, I'm maybe reading too much into it, that at some points in time, there was a goal to have some established process or procedure when someone has a speed concern on a street, that we end up with some kind of flow chart or step-by-step process. And if people want to have that, I just don't know anything about it and would need to work on it. I just have seen the item and I don't know what to do, that's all.
There's something that Dennis Walter created a long time ago. They had a point system for looking at different streets, because you're right, you want to figure out the fair way to treat everyone, because we've also had people say, hey, I want speed bumps on my street, or I want this on my street. It's like, well, how do we treat all those, and, analyze them the same way in a consistent
Yeah, a
manner?
lot of that had to do with the parking, which Dennis did along with myself. We went through and made a lot of changes
Yeah,
to
right.
the streets in the village. But I think, to Mr. Ayers' point, I think this was pretty much established, and I think we've done, I know we put up the speed sign on Miami. We've increased the amount of time that we spend running radar there, stuff like that. I think that was what we were trying to do. And I think we've done, it's up to you guys to leave it on or take it off, but I think we've done what we can do in that area, so.
And it can be removed.
Maybe it makes more sense to do specific projects.
Yeah, kind of
like
narrow
we're
it
talking
down.
about.
Yeah.
Like you're right, Randy.
Addresses specific areas
Right.
as they come up.
May I, the speed sign that's coming down Miami, will that stay there? Can it stay there?
We can move it if we need to. There's been some talk in the past about maybe purchasing another one at some point so that we can kind of move it around. But I think that location there, in my opinion, I think that's important to keep it there.
It's very, I
'Cause I
think it's
that-
very effective.
I think it's very effective.
Yeah.
We're finding it effective because, officers are running radar on Miami, and we're not finding as many people speeding as we did prior to the sign being there.
Yeah.
I think the ultimate answer to that question, though, may be after the intersection study is done and determine how that's going to be reconfigured and what's actually going to happen there as to whether or not that sign can stay.
Well, I'd
I mean,
like-
personally,
I'm-
I'm in favor of it staying, but I don't know
Yeah.
how it'll fit in.
Well, or I guess until that point,
Yeah,
as
Well,
opposed to
until that
taking
point.
it out tomorrow or
Right.
something.
no,
Yeah, and it may be that we decide to move it after it's
yeah.
maybe move it to a different location, on Miami or even to another street. But I think it's important for it to stay there now.
Great, thank you.
But back to your original point.
Right, I never
If you
got an
wanna take
answer
that
from
off
you.
Now, and we'll address it on an individual basis.
Yeah, if it's up to me, let's take it off.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Sure.
In light of issue 2 passing, do we need, and I guess that I'm looking at you for guidance, any kind of rules about cannabis being grown in the South 80? Do we need to address that?
What a great idea.
It's a good idea.
What the, I'm not
It's a good idea to grow it, or,
Thanks, wow.
no, Ed, you can't
That's
have the
the
right.
biggest contribution we've had all night.
Yeah, Randy,
It's what?
it's a public property, so we can prohibit them.
So do we need to do that? Do we need to?
Yeah, we probably
Yeah,
do.
we
That's a good
should
idea.
prohibit
Yeah, I'm
that.
kind of glad you reminded me of that, because we've been talking about that at my office, and, you can go in your backyard and grow up to 6 plants, or your backyard and grow up to 6 plants, and pretty soon Mariemont's gonna be marijuana town instead of
Marijuana,
marijuana.
Marijuana-mont.
So I guess I'm looking for guidance on.
I will.
It
That's
is-
a great
it is-
idea.
It is municipal property, and we
It
know
is.
that. So clearly, we have control over what
So
happens.
what I will do is start looking at an ordinance to prohibit the planting of marijuana, if that's what you want.
I would assume, I mean,
We already
Yeah.
have the ordinances about selling it, right? Within
Yes.
the village. That we have, that
Well,
we did
we-
it several years back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no dispensaries in the
Yeah, no
village.
dispensaries within, distances from schools and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the growing thing is now a separate issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy, that's a good idea. Thanks for reminding me, because we did
Yeah,
talk
we don't
about
want
that.
those coyotes getting into the weed.
It'd be more than coyotes. If we had it
Oh, I
growing down
know.
there, people would be down there stealing it. So seriously, it would not be a good idea, in my opinion. But my faith.
All right, anything else? We good? We're adjourned.